Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand, everybody. So today is Thursday, January 25th, um, 2024. So hope everybody's had a good week this week. Of course, um, is our last news night of the week before we, of course, on tomorrow night, of course, historical comic retrospect. Gonna wait a few minutes, give people a chance to come in. So I hope everybody's had a good week thus far. As we wind down the week and all that. Let's see now. On Moon Mesa, where the cowboys roam, everyone by the code of the wind. Let's see. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to the finish when I eat my spinach. Popeye the Sailor Man. Popeye the Sailor Man, toot toot. I'm Popeye the Sailor Man. I'm strong to the finish when I eat my spinach. Popeye the Sailor Man. Let's see. Do 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 do. Let me see what else. Gummy bears bouncing here and there and everywhere. Fine adventure that's beyond compare. They are the gummy bears. They are the gummy bears. Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplane. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales, woo. You've been waiting, I've been waiting. DuckTales, woo. Anyways, all right. Well, now that we're getting close to the 3 minute mark, here's what's on tap for tonight. So, again, another slow news day in the world of Nietzsche. We did have one news story come out today. Those of you who might remember from about 5 years ago, the Kyoto Animation Studio, the arsonist Shinji Alba was sentenced today to death. We'll kind of go over that a little bit here, and then afterwards, tonight, we're going to also be looking back at the life and career of Jack Mercer. Now, for those of you who may not remember or know or remember who Jack Mercer was a longtime voice of Popeye. He was a writer, actor, basically a script writer, actor, voice actor. Originally involved with, of course, Fleischer Studios, later Famous Studios, um, along with Mae Quetzal and Jackson Beck. They had been the triumvirate of voices for Popeye, Olive Oil, and Bluto, respectively. You know, from from late 1942 all the way um, up until just before the start of the all new Popeye hour in 1978. So we're going to be taking a look back at Jack Mercer life and career. And of course, we'll have the wrestling wrap up as well as the have the wrestling wrap up as well as the as this day needs history. So, with all that being said, why don't we go ahead get started with the material here. All right, so Now, just to remind everybody who this guy is, as we were talking about here, this is a guy who set fire to Kyoto Animation Studios in Japan about 5 years ago. Um, so we'll just kind of take a quick look back at the situation. So Shinji Alba, who of course a 41-year-old man, was identified as the suspect in the Kyoto Animation fire arson back back about 5 years ago. Of course, he was convicted of murder, attempted murder, arson, trespass, breach of arms control law in Japan. They sentenced him to death. So, according to locals, resembling Alba when he was one days before the incident. He was also reported to have visited several places of interest related to sound euphonium around it. Now, Sound Euphonium, I believe, is an anime that was produced by Kyoto Kyoto Animation around the city in days prior to the attack. Immediately following the attack, now this is just recapping what happened with the Kyoto arson fire here, Kyoto Animation arson attack. Um, Prior to the attack, immediately following the attack. Immediately following the attack, Alba fled the scene after being chased by employees of the studio, but was apprehended by Kyoto Prefecture police near Rokujizo Station and Kelan Electric Railway, about 100 meters or 330 feet from the studio. Alba was then taken into custody with severe burns to his legs, chest, and face. During his transport to the hospital, Alba admitted having started the fire, possibly for revenge, accusing the studio of quote unquote ripping off or quote unquote plagiarizing his novels. In spite of this, Hata had initially stated, so Hata, I guess, is the guy who um, who actually wrote Sound Euphonium. Um, Hata had initially stated that there is no record of anyone submitting work. Okay, so Hata must be the owner, the head of the studio there. Anyone submitting work to the annual writing contest under Alba's name. Subsequently, Kyoto Animation revealed that they had received a draft from Alba. However, it did not pass the first stage assessment and was forgotten, and and contents were confirmed to have no similarities to any of their published works. It was later revealed that Alba believed that a scene about buying discounted meat in the fifth episode of Sarune, another anime there, was similar to one in the novel he submitted. Due to serious burns sustained during the incident, Alba was transferred to University Hospital in Osaka for further treatment. Um, when he received necessary skin graft surgery on September 5th, 2019, it was reported that the injuries were no longer considered life-threatening, but he was still being treated in an ICU and required respiratory assistance by a ventilator. They lived from all the smoke inhalation from when he started the fire at Kyoto. And this is a guy who basically believed that some people at Kyoto Animation had basically ripped off or plagiarized his work in some of their animes. So, out of vengeance, he decided to set fire to the studio. That happened about 5 years ago, back in 2019. Um, All right. So anyways, as we continue on here. Um, all right. So on September 5th, on 5th of September 2019, it was reported that his injuries are no longer considered life-threatening. Okay, yeah, we read that part. Alba regained speech on 18 September and began rehabilitation by 8 October, being able to sit up on a wheelchair, hold short conversations. The police obtained a warrant for his arrest, but were required to await confirmation from doctors that Alba could withstand confinement. So, on 14 November 2019, he was moved to another hospital in Kyoto for final rehabilitation. He recovered from most of his injuries and acknowledged responsibility for the attack. He expressed feelings of remorse and gratitude toward the hospital staff, who he said treated him better than anyone had ever done in his life. On the other hand, he told police that he lit the fire because Kyoto Animation had stolen his novel and that he expected to get the death penalty. Most of Albert's burned skin was replaced with experimental artificial skin as the victims were prioritized to receive donor human skin first. Um, the use of artificial skin on such extensive burns is the first case in Japan. So they figured this guy's a piece of work, so we're gonna use him as a guinea pig. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Um, yeah, I know. And of course, I was reminded of this story because Yellow Flash did a video on it, and I know Hero Hay had been following it as well. This was, I think, if I, from what I heard earlier. Let me go up here real quick. Let's see, 70 people were inside Studio One at the time of the fire, and initially it was reported 34 people had been killed before two more later died. So 36 people in all died from the attack. From let's see. The fire was started around 10:31 a.m. The perpetrator walked into yeah. See. Yeah, the incident happened. Let's see. I'm trying to 36 deaths, 34 injured. Um, it happened on July 18, 2019. More like 4.5 years ago, but nonetheless, 10:31 a.m. So, anyways, getting back to this article here. Let's see. Oh, by by January 2020, so 4 years ago this month, Alba remained hospitalized and was unable to stand or eat unassisted. On 27 May 2020, Alba was judged to have sufficiently recovered from his burn injuries, and he was formally arrested on suspicion of murder and other charges. He was indicted on 16 December 2020 on murder and other charges. So, a little over 3 years ago now. Alba had a prior criminal history and was known to suffer from mental illness. In 2012, he robbed a convenience store with a knife in Ibaraki Prefecture, was subsequently jailed for 3.5 years. It was speculated after the attack that Alba's mental illness may reduce his maximum penalty for the attack from a death sentence to life imprisonment. Yeah, as Flash had even noted, his defense attorneys had tried to argue that you know, he was not responsible for what he did because he suffered from mental illness. Um, on 12th May 2023, so last May, the Kyoto District Court announced that Alba would stand trial in September 2023 and that a verdict would be announced in January 2024. Alba pleaded guilty to the charges on 5th of September, and on the 7th of December 2023, the prosecutors announced they would be seeking the death penalty for Alba. On, basically today, the court announced that Alba had been sentenced to death. So that's basically what happened to the guy who set fire to the Kyoto Animation studio back in July of 2019. He was sentenced to death. Now, how long it takes, because I know one thing the Yellow Flash talked about is usually if somebody gets a death penalty here in the state, it takes a long time to get them actually executed. But Japan, maybe they may be a bit quicker about it. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. We'll keep our eyes tuned to that. So now let's move on to something a little more positive, for lack of a better term. So as I said, I decided since there was not a whole lot, of news today, we'll do a little profile piece here on scriptwriter, actor, and voice actor Jack Mercer. So we're gonna take a nice little look back over career of Jack Mercer. So you guys might want to check this out. Jack Mercer is, one more time to remind people, Jack Mercer was the longtime voice of Popeye. So let's get into this then. So Winfield B. Mercer, born January 31st, 1910, passed away December 7th, 1984, 74 years old when he passed away. Professionally known as Jack Mercer, was a prolific American voice actor, animator, and TV screenwriter. He is best known as the voice of cartoon characters Popeye the Sailor and Felix the Cat. The son of vaudeville and Broadway performers, he also performed on the vaudeville and legitimate stages. Now, the Felix Cat aspect, I didn't know this until later, but I think that was that was the Felix the Cat shorts that were developed in the late 50s, I believe. So, anyways, Popeye the Sailor. Mercer began his work in cartoons as an in-between, an apprentice animator at Fleischer Studios. Mercer liked to imitate voices, including one close call when he mimicked the high-pitched and loud voice of the wife of one of the Fleischers, after he mistakenly thought she had left the studio. Oh boy! Oh boy! Yeah, that could probably get you, if you're not careful. That kind of thing can probably get you in trouble. Let's see. Yeah, so moving along then. Let's see. When William Costello, the original cartoon voice of Popeye from 1933 to 1935, became difficult to work with, he was dismissed. Mercer had begun imitating Costello's interpretation of Popeye, and he practiced it until his voice, quote unquote, cracked just right, and he had it down. Searching for a replacement for Costello, Lou Fleischer heard Mercer singing the Popeye theme song, gave him the job of doing voice. Now, of course, Mercer did not jump right into it right away. There was a short that was done in between. There was one short that was done in between Costello's run and Mercer's run by Floyd Buckley. Floyd Buckley came in about, I think, did Popeye's voice for 6 shorts. The first being kind of the in between Costello and Mercer here. Let's see. I believe he and one other person, Buckley and one other person would provide the voices of Popeye. I can't remember sure they'll mention it here during Mercer's time. 1 year in the military. But anyways, I digress. Let's get back to this. Mercer's first cartoon was 1935's King of the Mardi Gras. Mercer voiced the one-eyed sailor for more than 40 years. First for the Fleischers, then for Paramount's famous Studios cartoons, which basically was shot from 1942 to 1947. Then for a series of television cartoons for King Feature Syndicate, 1961. The 1960s Popeye cartoons that many of you might remember. And finally, for a Saturday morning cartoon show from 1978 to 1983, produced by Hanna-Barbera, William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, Mercer also read the lines for the opening segment of the live-action film. The film's regular role, Popeye, was played by Robin Williams. So, yeah. 1980. So from 35 to 80, that's something like 45 years, basically. Other voice work that Mercer did. See. And as a reminder, if you haven't already, of course, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to come on and engage. That would be appreciated. Also, anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment down or ask questions, and I'll try to answer questions to the best of my ability. So with that, let's continue on with the little history lesson here. Mercer also did other cartoon voices. Like, he did other voices for other features for Fleischer and and Famous. Of course, he had some roles in some of the Superman cartoons and a number of other things. So let's see. Mercer also did other cartoon voices in the Popeye cartoons. He also voiced Wimpy, Poop Deck Pappy, and Popeye's nephews. For Fleischer's feature film Gulliver's Travels, he voiced King Little. Twinkle Toes, the carrier pigeon, and the bumbling spies Sneak, Snoop, and Snitch. He played supporting characters Mr. Bumble and Swat, the Fly, for Fleischer's second feature, Mr. Bug Goes to Town. He was also regularly cast with Pinto Colvig, who voiced Gabby from Gulliver's Travels, and the spin-off Gabby film series. Pinto Colvig, probably best known for his live-action role as Bozo the Clown, but he also was one of the earlier voices for Goofy. For Disney's Goofy. Mercer also played numerous supporting characters in Fleischer's Superman series of 1941-42, which I just mentioned. Mercer's natural voice was relatively high pitched for a man, and he was able to do some of the female voices as well. Probably one of the rare occasions where you actually had an adult male being able to accurately do women's voices. I would take it. Beginning in 1958, Mercer also provided the voices for the Felix the Cat TV cartoons produced by former Paramount animator Joe Oriolo. Mercer later worked with Oriolo on The Mighty Hercules. In addition to his vocal talents, Mercer was also a prolific comedy writer. Yes, he. If you go back, you look at a number of the shorts that produced Fleischer and Famous Studios, and I think even some of the King Feature Syndicate TV series pop by. You can see Jack Mercer's writing credits there. Now, of course, back in the early days of golden age of animation, you did have some guys who did do multiple tasks. Like when we went over Walter Land's productions yesterday, I mentioned how Ben Hardaway was a script writer for them, and also for a time was doing the voice of Woody Woodpecker as well before Greg Stafford took over in 1950. But now, of course, we're talking about Jack Mercer here, who was with Fleischer and Paramount, or Fleischer and Famous. So, let's see. He wrote hundreds of scripts for various cartoon series at Paramount, including a number of Popeye episodes, as well as for television's Deputy Dog and Milton the Monster. Jack Mercer appeared as himself on a 1973 episode to Tell the Truth, receiving one of 4 possible votes. His personal life. Mercer's first wife was Margie Hines, who provided the voice of Olive Oyl from 1939 to 1944. They were divorced in 1950. He later married Victoria Carroll, and the couple remained married until Mercer's death in 1984. Now, Margie Hines, who provided the voice, this is at a time when the Fleischer Studios had Fleischer Studios had moved from and I think she only went up to 42, not all the way up to 44, I believe. But Fleischer Studios, I think in 1939, had decided to move their studios down to Florida. And of course, Mae Quetzal, who had been the voice of Betty Boop and Olive Oyl, Betty Boop in the Betty Boop cartoons, and Olive Oyl in the Popeye cartoons. Of course, by this point, Betty Boop's shorts were no longer being produced, but she was still doing Olive Oyl. She had decided to stay in New York, where the Fleischer Studios originally were, to basically start a family. And then once Fleischer was bought out by Famous Studios and they came back to New York, then of course Mae Quetzal came back as the voice of Olive Oyl, which again, early to mid 40s there, 42, 44, around there. From that point to basically leading into the all new Popeye show, Jack Mercer, Mae Quetzal, and Jackson Beck had pretty much been the triumvirate of Popeye, Olive Oyl, and Bluto, respectively. So, anyways, let's see there. See if anybody's here. Nope. As I said, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we get some more friendly people in here. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and we'll try to get to them as best I can. I'll try to answer them to the best of my. Well, hey Wayne, welcome aboard here. I'm talking about Jack Mercer. I don't know if you remember Jack Mercer. Jack Mercer was the longtime voice of Popeye um, for Fleischer and Famous Studio, and later King Features. Basically, had done it for about 45 years. Um, we just went over, his bio a little bit, his life and career a bit here. Um, so hopefully you'll enjoy the content here. Um, oh yeah, so and I decided to do this because again, kind of a short, kind of a limited niche news days, which sometimes happen. Of course, on the rare occasions where it's 2 days in a row where it happened. But anyways, getting back to personal life here. So originally a resident of New York City, Mercer moved to Miami, Florida when Fleischer Studios relocated there in 1938. After Famous Studios took over the Popeye cartoon, Mercer moved back to New York by early 1944. In the late 1970s, he lived briefly in Los Angeles, but moved back to New York City to live in Woodside, Queens. And then he passed away at Lenox Hill Hospital in Manhattan on December 7, 1984, after stomach cancer-related problems. So, as I mentioned before, some of his voice acting credits included being, Popeye's voice from 1935 to 45, and 47 to 57 on the original Popeye shorts. That one year, 1946, he had served in the military. So during that one year, you had Floyd Buckley, you had one or two other people who came in to provide the voice of Popeye while Mercer was on active duty. Wow, I recall the old Popeye. Well, yeah, you can still watch it because Boomerang has them on in the evenings. Well, evenings here, I think they'd be later night on the East Coast, but Boomerang has them. MeTV has them on, featuring on both their Saturday morning cartoon lineups, and Tune In With Me. You can catch them now and again when they decide to feature them. But anyways, let's look at some of his other. So in Gulliver's Travels, of course, he's Prince David and King Little. He provided the voice of Mr. Bumble and SWAT and Mr. Bug Goes to Town. He, in essence, was basically the entire voice cast for Felix the Cat TV series. All 126 episodes, I take it. He also provided some voice work for the new Casper cartoon show, which doesn't surprise me considering that there was a time there when, of course, the Harvey Toons series were part of the Famous Studios catalog. I said all the way up to the all-new Popeye Hour. He also provided some voices for the Mighty Hercules in 1963-64. So, and then of course he did the animated prologue in the live-action Popeye film in 1980, the one that starred Robin Williams. I love Felix cartoons. Yeah. Well, yeah. And then, Felix, even before that, back in the 20s, from Pat Sullivan cartoons, had some silent shorts that were produced as well. So, all right. So, as a writer, of course, he was a story writer for the Famous Studios Popeye short from 1942 to 1957. He wrote a couple episodes of the Deputy Dog Show in 1963. Wrote 16 episodes for Dinky Dog in 1978. Of course, he was the writer on the all-new Popeye Hour from 1978 to 1981. So there we go there with Jack Mercer. So so that's all I pretty much had in terms of content for tonight, because Is Felix public domain? I'm pretty sure that the old ones, the silent film ones, are public domain. I don't know about um, I don't know about the ones that were in the ones that Jack Mercer voiced. I don't know if those are public domain, but I think the shorts that were produced back in the 20s during the silent film era, those might be public domain. So that was, but I guess anybody can look into that. So anyway, so now as I said, since we got through material here, now we're gonna move on to the wrestling wrap up here. Of course, got some news to report on the WWE, AEW, and TNA today. So first off, so in a couple of pieces of WWE news, so it has been reported that Kevin Patrick, who was recently relieved of his announcing duties on SmackDown, has actually been released from the company. So it's reported that Michael Cole will be in the short term taking over for Patrick on SmackDown until they can find a more permanent replacement. But Kevin Patrick has been released from the WWE. No word on as to the reason behind it, but it also been reported that the WWE is not happy with Sports Illustrated because they leaked a story about some of the possible matches coming up. So that's all I got for you on the WWE side of things. For AEW, last night's Dynamite. So in the opening match, Adam Page defeated Penta El Zero Miedo. And in the third match, Swerve Strickland defeated Jeff Hardy, which of course will be setting up. Again, they're pushing the whole Page-Strickland rivalry quite a bit here. In between those two matches, Wardlow defeated Trent Beretta to further his rankings, I guess. As they've been presenting Wardlow as probably the monster for the Undisputed Kingdom. Thunder Rosa defeated Red Velvet. Billy Gunn and the Acclaimed retained the AEW World Trios title over the Mogul Embassy. And in the main event, Adam Copeland defeated Minoru Suzuki in the Cope Open. So that's pretty much all I got for the for AEW Dynamite. On tonight's edition of Impact, TNA Impact, that will air on Access TV. Jordan Grace defends the Knockouts World title against Trinity. Nick Nemeth will have his first singles match in TNA when he takes on one half of the Rascals, Zachary Wentz, the former Nash Carter in WWE's NXT. Danny Luna and Jody Threat team up to take on the former Knockouts Tag Team Champions MK Ultra, Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich. Chris Bay of the TNA World Tag Team Champion ABC will be taking on Kevin Knight. In the main event, 6-man tag match as Kazuchika Okada, there's been some recent rumors that once his contract is up with New Japan, the WWE is looking, if they have not already, are looking to sign Okada to a contract. Okada tonight will be teaming up with Motor City Machine Guns to take on the newly formed faction, the System of TNA World Champion Moose, along with Eddie Edwards and Brian Myers. So that's pretty much what we got for you tonight, folks. And now that we got to that, now let's go ahead. Today being Thursday, January 25th, 2024. Let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! Oh. All right. So first off, we're going to head back 30 years ago today. As on this date 30 years ago today, back in 1994, the 20th issue of Aliens from Dark Horse, from their Dark Horse International imprint, went on sale on this date 30 years ago today. It sold for $2.95, which 48 pages. So on this date 30 years ago today, the 20th issue of Aliens from Dark Horse, from their Dark Horse International imprint, went on sale on this date back in 1994. Now, moving ahead from there to 2004. Moving from there, 2004. On this day in 2004, WWE held its 17th annual Royal Rumble event from the Wachovia Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is probably the Royal Rumble that a lot of people within the WWE kind of wish they could forget, because this was the one in which Chris Benoit won the Rumble. Of course, I think everybody remembers what happened in 2007. Chris Benoit won the Royal Rumble by last eliminating Big Show. And I actually remember seeing this. It was, despite how you feel about how things ended for Benoit, this was still a good, and he did it from the number one spot too. I remember watching this Royal Rumble. I think I was out with some friends. We had gone, I think, to I think it was a pizza place or something like that. But we were watching it on the on a big screen TV, and I could just remember sitting there like watching Benoit. Benoit being like 5'8", 5'9". At that point, I guess they had him at like 235, dragging out Big Show, Paul White, who was like, of course, 7 feet, over 400 pounds, literally dragging him out with a front face lock. It was an amazing thing to watch. I think a man this size, Benoit's size, just literally dragging the man the size of Big Show out, over the top rope and onto the floor. It was something to watch. It was something really to watch. But anyways, some of the other matches that happened, in a last man standing match for the World Heavyweight Championship, Triple H, who was the champion at the time, and Shawn Michaels fought to a double countout. Brock Lesnar retained the WWE Championship over Hardcore Holly. Let's see. Rey Mysterio retained the Cruiserweight Champion over Jamie Noble. In a table match for the World Tag Team Championship, Batista and Ric Flair defeated the Dudley Boys to retain the World Tag Team titles. And on the Sunday Night Heat match, Victoria defeated Molly Holly. Benoit, of course, was the number one participant in the was the number one participant in the match. Um, some of the other strong performers, you know, so outside of Benoit, some of the other, let's see, the one who lasted, I think, the second longest was Randy Orton, who came in number two, was the 17th man eliminated. Let's see. And then you had Kurt Angle lasting 29 minutes, coming in at number 19, and being eliminated number 27 by the Big Show. Let's see. Some of the other ones. Let's see. Matt Hardy lasted 14 minutes, 18 seconds. 14:58 for Jericho. Let's see. Another 14 minutes. Rhino lasted exactly 14 minutes. Lasting 12 minutes, 14 seconds. Matt Morgan. So Big Show, who was basically the last person eliminated, obviously. Let's see. Big Show came in at number 24. He was like he might have been the second to the last. Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, he was, because Spike Dudley was supposed to be in the match but never entered. So that's why there was no number 29. So Big Show was the last one to be eliminated there. But anyways, 20 years ago, the WWE held its Royal Rumble event from the Wachovia Center in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, moving on ahead to 2009. On this date in 2009, um, William Street's The Dinky Crow Show um, ended its run on Adult Swim on this date 15 years ago today. 15 years ago today, The Dinky Crow Show ended its show on this date in 2009. It was an American adult animated television series created by Eric Kaplan and Tony Millionaire, based on the latter's comic strip Monkeys. So, and in 2009 is just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. And also on this date in 2009, 15 years ago, so I pull that up. Gonzo's Afro Samurai Resurrection premiered in theaters on this date back in 2009. On this date back in 2009, in Japan and the United States, Gonzo Studios' Afro Samurai in fact, it didn't premiere in theaters. It actually premiered on television, Fuji Television in Japan, and then the Paramount Network in the United States. Afro Samurai premiered on this date back in 2009. So as one show ended, another began. Or another, as one show ended, and a movie premiered. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Let me see now. Of course, we'll be back here tomorrow night, as I'll have RJ Carter with me, and we'll be looking back to um, book that went on sale from Fox Feature Syndicate back in January 1940, focusing in, of course, on Science Comics #1. I might do some of the other books too, just there are only a couple of superhero features in Science Comics. So, but with that, I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.